Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab.
Here.
Today's podcast, English Listening Practice, is taking a deep dive into over 30 C1 level vocabulary terms.
That's right.
These are terms crucial for business and management. We've got a comprehensive guide right here, packed with terms that are, absolutely vital for anyone navigating the intricate world of business today. Our mission here at the Deep Dive isn't just about, defining these words.
No, not at all.
We want to truly illuminate their nuance, their sometimes surprising applications, and their strategic impact. The idea is to help you handle complex concepts with confidence and precision.
Think of it as upgrading your linguistic toolkit.
Exactly. For effective communication, sharper strategic decision-making, and hopefully significant professional growth.
Absolutely.
So whether you're maybe thinking about an MBA, engaging in high-stakes negotiations, analyzing market trends, or simply aiming to be more articulate,
More well-informed.
this deep dive is really custom-tailored to provide those crucial insights and maybe some aha moments. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's truly fascinating here is that mastering this level of vocabulary isn't merely about sounding knowledgeable.
Right.
It's about genuine comprehension and, importantly, the ability to articulate sophisticated ideas. These terms are essentially the building blocks for discussing everything from complex corporate strategies
To the nitty-gritty of finance.
Exactly. Financial operations, organizational structures. We're going to explore each term with its core meaning, key synonyms, and, crucially, we'll dissect multiple real-world examples.
That's key, the example.
It is. Our goal is to ensure you understand not just what the word means, but how and when to deploy it for maximum impact. And this raises an important question for you, our listener. How can we best equip you to internalize and apply these powerful terms?
How do we do that?
Well, by vividly illustrating their practical application across diverse and sometimes surprising business scenarios.
Okay, let's jump right in. Our first section, foundations of business entities and transactions. Starting with acquisition, it's a noun, meaning the act of buying or obtaining something valuable, often a company or property. You might hear purchase, takeover, procurement.
Similar ideas.
Now, acquisition on the surface sounds pretty straightforward, like just buying something. But in the business world, it carries a lot more weight, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just a transaction. It feels more like a power play sometimes.
You've really hit on a critical point there. If we connect this to the bigger picture, an acquisition often signals a highly strategic move. It goes far beyond a simple purchase.
Okay.
At its core, an acquisition is fundamentally about power dynamics, whether that's gaining market control, absorbing crucial talent, or even, governmental authority over resources.
Yeah.
The real deep dive here is realizing it's often less about just owning something and more about influencing outcomes on a larger scale.
That's a great frame.
Yeah.
So let's look at a public sector example first. The government approved the acquisition of land for the construction of a new highway. Here, it's clearly not just buying land. It's a huge infrastructure project. There are massive legal and public implications. What makes this use of acquisition so different from, say, a company buying a new office building?
Well, a key difference lies in the public interest and, frankly, the sheer scale involved. This usage highlights the legal and regulatory layers involved when a state entity procures property on a large scale.
Right, the bureaucracy.
Precisely. Governmental approval is a critical step in these significant public infrastructure projects. It's about gaining control of resources for a broader societal purpose, and that often involves complex public hearings, environmental assessments.
Compensation for landowners.
Exactly. Carefully negotiated compensation processes. The public good aspect really elevates it beyond a typical private sector deal.
That makes sense. Okay, pivoting now to the corporate world. Consider this. The tech giant's acquisition of a smaller startup boosted its innovation capabilities.
A classic move.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about physical assets. It's about intellectual property, talent, expanding market reach. What's the sort of hidden strategy usually at play here?
Well, this exemplifies a very common corporate strategy. Larger entities buy out smaller, often highly innovative companies. The goal isn't just growth for growth's sake.
No.
It might be to eliminate a burgeoning competitor or to integrate cutting-edge new technologies much more rapidly than they could develop themselves.
Ah, the speed factor.
Speed is huge.
Yeah.
Or absorbing specialized talent that brings unique expertise. It's fundamentally a faster route to accelerating the acquiring company's own development and market position than relying purely on organic growth. Essentially, they're buying a shortcut to future innovation.
Buying a shortcut. I like that. Okay, and finally for acquisition. Let's step away from the corporate world briefly. Her acquisition of rare artifacts for the museum collection drew international acclaim.
Interesting context.
Even here, in a cultural setting, acquisition keeps that sense of obtaining something incredibly valuable significant.
What does this usage reveal about the process involved, the meticulousness?
Precisely. This usage really underscores the incredibly meticulous process of curating and securing valuable cultural items. It emphasizes the critical importance of provenance, the history of ownership.
Right, where'd it come from?
Exactly. Historical significance and the role of these acquisitions in enriching public collections, preserving heritage. This often involves expert negotiation, substantial investment, and increasingly careful consideration of ethical sourcing.
Ethical sourcing is huge now.
Absolutely, and all within a nonprofit setting, usually aimed at public enrichment and education.
Okay, moving on. Our next term is Master of Business Administration, MBA. A noun describing that second university degree focused on business management.
The MBA. The MBA, you'll hear it abbreviated or sometimes called a business master's, maybe an executive degree. It's a term everyone in business recognizes. But what truly makes this degree so pivotal? And what does it really signify in today's fast-moving business world?
Well, an MBA is undeniably more than just a piece of paper or a credential.
It has to be for the cost and effort.
Exactly. It represents a truly transformative experience designed to equip individuals with a holistic sort of 360-degree understanding of business operations and leadership. It signifies a major investment in one's career to develop a comprehensive strategic skill set for tackling really complex managerial challenges. It's about developing generalists who can connect all the dots in an organization.
Connect the dots. Okay. So it aims for that broad knowledge base. Our first example illustrates this. The MBA curriculum includes courses in management, finance, accounting, and strategic planning.
Covers the bases.
It sounds incredibly comprehensive. Is there any particular area that an MBA program typically emphasizes more, or is the balance genuinely across the board?
The intention is definitely broad coverage. This example outlines the breadth of an MBA program, showing how it integrates diverse business disciplines.
Right.
The aim is comprehensive preparation for leadership roles, ensuring graduates have that well-rounded skill set to tackle complex organizational challenges from understanding financial statements
To crafting long-term strategies.
Exactly. While specializations do exist, the core is always about creating versatile leaders who can oversee various facets of an enterprise, ensuring they can, speak the language of every department.
Makes sense. Now consider this. Earning a Master of Business Administration opened doors to high-level executive positions for her.
The career accelerator idea.
Yeah. While an MBA clearly opens doors, are there common misconceptions about its immediate impact? Does it always guarantee that kind of acceleration, or are there maybe hidden challenges?
That's a perceptive question, and it's a common point of discussion. While an MBA can substantially accelerate career advancement, the misconception is that it's some kind of magic bullet. This example certainly illustrates the significant career opportunities it can unlock, providing specialized knowledge and that crucial network.
The network is huge.
Absolutely. However, it's not a guarantee. The true value comes from how you leverage the education, the connections made, the personal development undertaken. The hidden challenge is often differentiating yourself, even with an MBA, given how many people have them now.
Right, standing out.
And demonstrating that ability to translate theory into practical impact.
Good reminder. It's a tool, not destiny. And finally, for MBA. Many entrepreneurs pursue a Master of Business Administration to refine their startup ideas into viable businesses.
Interesting application.
This is fascinating not just for climbing the corporate ladder, but for building something from scratch. How does an MBA specifically help innovators navigate that often chaotic world of startups?
Indeed. This highlights the degree's perhaps surprising utility for innovators. It shows how an MBA helps entrepreneurs convert raw, often brilliant ideas into structured, sustainable business models. It's about applying theoretical frameworks, finance, strategy, marketing to real-world innovation.
Bridging the gap.
Exactly. Bridging that gap between a creative vision and the practical requirements of market entry, fundraising, achieving operational scalability. It provides a toolkit for navigating those chaotic early stages, helping foresee and maybe mitigate common startup pitfalls.
Okay, our third term, associate. A noun meaning a member of an organization with limited membership or a specific role. Synonyms like member, affiliate, colleague.
Associate.
It's a term we hear a lot, but its meaning can subtly shift depending on the context, right? It feels like it implies a different level of power or responsibility depending on the industry.
You're absolutely right. It's a term with considerable semantic flexibility. It often implies a specific level of involvement or a particular standing within a larger group,
Okay.
suggesting a significant contribution without necessarily being at the very top of the hierarchy. Understanding the context, as you said, is key to grasping the specific role and influence of an associate.
Let's consider how expertise plays a role. Associates contribute to the organization through their expertise and participation in projects and initiatives. This speaks to a collaborative role where specific expertise is valued. Does this often mean associates are specialists in a particular field rather than generalists?
Often, yes. This emphasizes that functional role of associates contributing specialized skills and knowledge to group efforts.
Right.
It suggests a collaborative dynamic where individuals, even if not at the absolute top, are instrumental in specific tasks and strategic initiatives, leveraging their unique capabilities for the collective benefit. Their specialized input is often crucial for project success, bringing a depth of knowledge that generalists might not possess.
That's a good clarification. Now, consider this in a professional services context, like a law firm. As an associate in the law firm, he handled client consultations and research tasks.
Very typical.
In these firms, associate often suggests a certain level, maybe on the path to partnership. What's the progression typically like?
That's a keen observation. In professional service firms, associate typically denotes a more junior or supportive position within a defined hierarchy.
Yeah.
This example details the daily responsibilities, indicating a learning and contributing phase, often under the guidance of more senior partners. It focuses on core client service, foundational research. It's like a structured apprenticeship.
Right.
It is indeed often a stepping stone, involving a rigorous period of proving oneself before advancing to more senior roles or eventually that coveted partnership.
And a different angle for associate. The club's associates voted on new policies during the annual meeting.
Ah, different feel.
Completely.
Yeah.
Here, it's about rights and collective decision-making. Feels like a different kind of power than in a law firm.
It does. This particular usage reveals a more democratic aspect of the term. In this context, associates are granted specific rights, like voting power, showcasing a shared governance model. It illustrates how decision-making can be distributed within certain organizations' clubs, exclusive groups allowing members a voice in shaping policies and strategic direction. It underscores a model that values collective input and ideally equal participation among its members.
Okay, term number 4 is retailer, a noun. A store, person, or business selling goods to the public for their own use, not for resale.
Seller, merchant, vendor.
Exactly. From the corner shop to massive online stores, retailer is fundamental in our economy. But beyond being that direct link to the consumer, what's a deeper, perhaps less obvious role retailers play today?
That's a great question. Beyond the obvious function of selling, a crucial insight is that the retailer is increasingly becoming an information broker.
An information broker? How so?
As much as a product seller, it's where the battle for customer data is really fought. This transforms a retailer into a powerhouse of consumer insights, influencing everything from product development to supply chain management. They're on the front line of product distribution, yes, but also at the forefront of understanding and predicting consumer behavior.
That's a powerful position.
Yeah.
Let's look at a growth strategy. The retailer expanded its operations by opening new stores in different cities.
Classic expansion.
Right, reaching more customers. What are the main considerations for a retailer embarking on this kind of expansion? It's not just putting up a sign, is it?
Definitely not. This illustrates a classic business growth strategy. Scaling operations to penetrate new markets or increase their footprint. Expanding into new cities is a direct way to reach a broader customer base, increase sales volume, strengthen market presence.
So the challenges.
Huge challenges. It often requires significant capital investment, meticulous logistical planning, careful market analysis to make sure the demand is there,
Right.
and a real commitment to ensuring a consistent brand experience across all those new locations. It's about balancing that opportunity with significant operational risk.
Speaking of expansion, online retailers like Amazon have revolutionized how consumers shop for everyday items.
Revolutionized is the right word.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The digital transformation has completely reshaped retail. What's the single most significant impact online retailers have had on traditional brick-and-mortar stores?
Oh, the impact is profound. These digital platforms have fundamentally altered consumer behavior, offering unparalleled convenience, vast product selections, global reach.
Right?
This shift has forced traditional brick-and-mortar stores to adapt dramatically. They've had to emphasize digital integration, develop multi-channel strategies, click and collect, for example, and really focus on unique in-store experiences to remain competitive. The entire industry now operates in a hybrid model, blurring those lines between physical and digital retail.
And our third example, the local retailer focused on sustainable products to attract eco-conscious customers. This shows market adaptation, a response to changing consumer values. Is this a trend that's here to stay, do you think, or more of a new strategy?
It's definitely a trend that's here to stay, and it's growing rapidly. This demonstrates how savvy retailers must adapt to evolving consumer preferences to gain a competitive edge.
So it's not just greenwashing.
Well, hopefully not. By genuinely specializing in sustainable products, this local retailer is specifically targeting a growing segment of eco-conscious customers, leveraging ethical consumption as a key differentiator. This builds brand loyalty based on shared values and environmental responsibility, moving beyond just price or convenience to forge a deeper, more emotional connection with the customer.
Okay, term number 5, commodity. A noun in economics, an unprocessed material that can be traded on exchanges.
Raw material, staple, tradable good.
Exactly. Commodity, it sounds basic, unprocessed, but its role in global economics is anything but simple. What's a common misconception about commodities, and why is their volatility so critical to grasp?
That's an astute observation. A common misconception is that because they're basic, their markets are simple. Nothing could be further from the truth. Commodities are foundational to global economies, and their price fluctuations can have massive ripple effects across industries, nations, driving significant geopolitical and financial dynamics.
Okay.
Their volatility is critical because it impacts everything from the price of your morning coffee to international relations. It's a true linchpin of global affairs.
Far from simple then. Let's look at their role in investment. Investors often include commodities in their portfolios as a hedge against inflation and market volatility.
The common strategy.
So it's a strategic move for investors, a way to balance risk. How does that work?
That's right. This illustrates the strategic role of commodities in diversifying an investment portfolio. Assets like gold, oil, agricultural products they tend to hold or even increase in value during periods of high inflation or economic uncertainty. They act as a protective mechanism against the erosion of purchasing power and general market fluctuations. They can offer a degree of stability, acting as a kind of safe haven when other asset classes might be declining.
And the geopolitical impact, you mentioned oil. Oil is a key commodity that influences global energy prices and geopolitical relations. We see the immense power of certain commodities on the world stage. How deeply intertwined is commodity control with international power dynamics?
Deeply, deeply intertwined. This highlights the profound strategic importance of certain commodities, like crude oil, on an international scale. Its price and availability directly impact global energy costs, manufacturing, transport,
Everything.
pretty much. And subsequently, it influences diplomatic relationships, trade agreements, even regional conflicts due to the intense competition for control over these vital resources. Control over key commodities is often a direct route to geopolitical leverage and ultimately national security.
Wow. And a look at risk management for primary producers. Farmers trade commodities like wheat on futures markets to secure prices in advance. This shows how essential commodities are for managing risk in sectors like agriculture. How does this futures market actually work to benefit farmers?
It's a critical risk management mechanism. Farmers use futures markets to essentially lock in prices for their produce well before harvest.
Okay.
This protects them from potential price drops, maybe due to oversupply or sudden market shifts that could otherwise devastate their income. This hedging strategy provides financial stability and predictability in what is otherwise a very volatile industry. It safeguards their income and allows for better long-term financial planning.
Okay, number 6, merchandise. A noun. Goods offered for sale, or the ones bought or sold.
Goods, products, wares.
Right. From what we browse in shops to what's shipped across continents, merchandise is everywhere. Is there a distinction between merchandise and products in business jargon, or are they basically interchangeable?
They're often used interchangeably, but there is a subtle difference in business jargon. Products can be a broader term, referring to anything created or offered, including services or even intellectual property. Merchandise, however, specifically refers to tangible goods offered for sale, typically in a retail context. It essentially refers to items intended for commerce or already part of a transaction. Subtle, but the distinction exists in more precise contexts.
That's useful. Let's look at the classic consumer interaction. She browsed through the merchandise at the souvenir shop, looking for gifts to bring back home.
We've all been there.
Exactly. This depicts a classic consumer interaction, a personal purchasing decision. What does this reveal about consumer psychology around merchandise? Is it just stuff or more?
Well, this scenario focuses on personal purchasing decisions in retail. It highlights individuals engaging with goods offered for sale, driven by specific needs or desires, like finding gifts. That forms the core of the retail transaction from the buyer's perspective. But it's often more than just stuff. It's about personal choice, perceived value, sometimes an emotional connection to the item, especially with souvenirs or gifts.
True. Okay, moving into operations. The store's merchandise inventory was audited to prevent stock discrepancies. Now we're into the nuts and bolts. Why is such meticulous auditing of merchandise inventory so critical for a business?
You're right, this is pure operations. This illustrates an essential aspect of operational management, maintaining accurate inventory records.
Right.
Regular audits of merchandise are critical for ensuring business efficiency, preventing losses due to theft, damage, misplacement, optimizing stock levels, and ensuring that what's recorded on paper actually matches the physical goods available for sale.
Avoids nasty surprises.
Exactly. This meticulous process is vital for financial accuracy, efficient operations, and ultimately profitability.
And the third example for merchandise. Exporting high-quality merchandise helped the company penetrate international markets. Here, it's about global trade, building a brand. What role does the quality of merchandise play in international market entry? Is it the deciding factor?
The role of quality is absolutely pivotal. This underscores its critical importance in global trade expansion. By offering superior merchandise, a company can build a strong reputation, overcome barriers to entry in new countries, and establish a competitive advantage.
Right.
Ultimately, this leads to successful market penetration and increased brand recognition on an international scale. Quality, in essence, acts as a universal language in commerce that can open doors to new territories, often more effectively than just low prices.
Our seventh term is cooperative.
Yep.
A noun. An organization or business jointly owned and run by its members.
Co-op, collective, mutual enterprise.
Right. The cooperative model feels distinct from traditional corporate structures, really emphasizing that shared ownership. What's the fundamental philosophical difference in how a cooperative operates compared to, say, a public limited company, PLC?
The fundamental difference is profound. It truly shifts the power dynamic. It prioritizes member benefit and democratic control over maximizing shareholder profit. This model is built on principles of equitable distribution, shared risk, collective decision-making, making it quite unique in a business world where shareholder value is typically paramount. It's about community and mutual benefit, not just maximizing financial returns for external investors.
That's a clear distinction. So, in practice, the cooperative model allows small businesses to pool resources and compete more effectively in the market. This really highlights the strength in numbers idea for smaller players. How does this pooling of resources translate into a competitive edge?
Well, this explains the strategic advantage of resource sharing. By pooling capital, expertise, or purchasing power. Small businesses operating as a cooperative can achieve economies of scale, access better terms from suppliers, and collectively compete against larger entities much more effectively than they could individually. It effectively levels the playing field, empowering smaller enterprises to gain advantages typically reserved for larger corporations.
And a classic example in agriculture. Farmers formed a cooperative to negotiate better prices for their produce. A clear example of collective bargaining power. What are the main benefits for individual farmers in this kind of setup?
This illustrates a powerful application in agriculture. Individual farmers are often at a significant disadvantage against large buyers.
Right.
By uniting, they strengthen their negotiating position. Collectively, marketing and selling their produce allows them to demand fairer prices, improve their economic outcomes, and gain a more equitable share of the market value chain. It reduces their individual vulnerability to market fluctuations and consolidates their influence.
And the third example for cooperative, The housing cooperative managed property maintenance through member votes. It's interesting to see democratic governance applied to something so tangible as property management. What kind of engagement does this foster among the members?
This demonstrates those principles of democratic governance in shared ownership models, particularly for community assets like housing. Members of a housing cooperative actively participate in decision-making, maintenance issues, budget allocation, rule setting. This ensures management reflects the collective will and needs of those who live there and jointly own the property. It fosters a strong sense of community, shared responsibility, and a direct vested interest in the upkeep of their living environment.
Okay, our eighth term is enterprise, a noun, meaning a company, but it can also refer to a risky business activity.
Business, firm, venture.
Right. Enterprise often feels a bit grander than just company, sometimes implying scale or ambition. Is there a subtle connotative difference between enterprise and company in everyday business language?
There often is, yeah. Enterprise tends to carry connotations of a significant undertaking, maybe in size, ambition, or complexity.
Okay.
While company is a more neutral, factual term for a business entity, enterprise often imbues it with a sense of purpose, initiative, or scale. It can also denote the entrepreneurial spirit itself. It suggests something substantial, potentially involving considerable effort or risk, or perhaps a large integrated operation.
That distinction helps. Let's look at innovation. The startup aims to disrupt the industry with its innovative enterprise solutions. This connects enterprise with innovation and providing solutions for other businesses. What exactly are enterprise solutions and why are they so crucial for disruption?
Right. This highlights the role of entrepreneurial innovation in developing specialized offerings for corporate clients. Enterprise solutions typically refer to software, services, or products designed to meet the complex, large-scale needs of large organizations. Think CRM systems, ERP software.
Big systems.
Exactly. They're crucial for disruption because they don't just solve a small problem. They often re-engineer fundamental business processes from supply chain management to HR. This demonstrates how startups can target and transform established industries with new, often groundbreaking approaches. It's B2B innovation at a systemic level.
Targeting the big players. Okay, on the flip side, small enterprises often struggle with access to capital in emerging markets. This shows the challenges faced by smaller businesses, regardless of their ambition. What makes access to capital such a persistent hurdle for these smaller entities, especially in emerging markets?
This illustrates a really significant hurdle for small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, particularly in developing economies. Access to adequate funding is often constrained due to things like perceived higher risk, lack of substantial collateral, or sometimes underdeveloped financial infrastructures.
Right.
This limitation directly impacts their growth potential, their ability to innovate, and their capacity to contribute more substantially to economic development. It underscores the pressing need for specialized financial mechanisms or policies to support them. It's a crucial economic challenge that can stifle nascent growth.
And finally, for enterprise, let's look at global scale. The multinational enterprise expanded its operations across continents. Now we're talking about a truly massive undertaking. What are the unique challenges and opportunities for an enterprise operating on such a global scale?
This showcases that global scaling of business activities, characteristic of large multinational corporations or MNCs. Expanding across continents involves incredibly complex logistical, cultural, and strategic challenges.
Like what?
Navigating diverse regulatory environments, adapting products and marketing to local consumer preferences, managing international teams. However, the opportunities are equally immense. It allows for greater market reach, diversified revenue streams, and often lets them leverage regional advantages in production costs or labor pools. It truly embodies the grand scale and integrated nature of global commerce. Huge opportunities, but equally huge complexities.
Okay, term number 9 is franchise, a noun. Permission granted to sell services or products in a specific area under an established brand.
License, dealership, chain outlet.
We all know familiar franchise names, McDonald's, Subway. But what does the term truly entail legally and operationally, beyond just that recognizable logo?
It's a powerful and highly structured model for rapid expansion. It's based on a symbiotic yet strictly defined relationship between the brand owner, the franchisor, and the local operator, the franchisee.
Okay.
The brand provides a proven business model, established recognition, operational guidelines. The franchisee brings local market knowledge, capital, and the drive to execute. The real depth is in balancing that required standardization with local entrepreneurship.
that delicate balance. Let's look at the foundational document. The franchise agreement outlined the terms and conditions for operating the business under the brand name. This emphasizes the contractual framework. What are the most critical elements typically found in such an agreement?
This highlights that critical legal and operational blueprint. The franchise agreement is a detailed, often very lengthy contract. It specifies intellectual property rights, stringent operational standards, detailed marketing requirements, precise financial obligations, fees, royalties.
Right.
It ensures consistency across all outlets while providing the franchisee with that proven business model and brand recognition. Key elements include territory rights, training requirements, supply chain agreements, fees, and, crucially, termination clauses. It's essentially the rulebook for success within that system.
So it's all about consistency. Owning a fast food franchise requires adherence to corporate standards. This speaks directly to maintaining brand consistency no matter where you are. What are the implications if a franchisee fails to stick to these standards?
Precisely. This illustrates the strict compliance necessary. To maintain brand integrity and customer expectations, franchisees must rigorously follow corporate guidelines, food prep, service standards, store layout, employee training, everything.
Everything.
Ensuring a consistent customer experience globally. Failure to adhere can lead to damaged brand reputation, not just locally, but system-wide, loss of customer trust, and ultimately termination of the franchise agreement. Consistency is absolutely paramount to the brand's perceived value.
And the third example for franchise gives us a different perspective. The sports franchise relocated to a new city to tap into a larger fan base. Here, it's not just selling goods, it's entertainment, community. How does the concept of a franchise apply to a sports team? Seems different.
It is different, but this intriguing usage extends the concept to team ownership within entertainment industries. A sports franchise, while not selling physical products in the same way, operates under strikingly similar principles. Brand value, intellectual property, logos, team name, and market territory. Relocation, in this context, is a strategic business move to optimize revenue, expand market presence, and potentially gain a more passionate or larger fan base for long-term commercial viability. It's market optimization for entertainment, where the product is the team itself and the customers are the fans.
Okay, number 10. Startup. A noun. A newly established company, innovative, early stage, focused on growth.
New venture, fledgling business, emerging company.
Right. Startup, it conjures images of innovation, tech, often rapid growth. What's the biggest differentiating factor of a startup compared to a traditional small business? They both start small.
That's a key distinction. A critical differentiator for a startup compared to a traditional small business is its inherent focus on scalability and rapid growth, often driven by technology and innovation.
Okay.
While traditional small businesses often aim for steady, local profitability, startups are synonymous with disruption and often significant risk, but also immense potential for exponential growth. They typically aim to solve a widespread problem or create an entirely new market rather than simply serving an existing local need. The ambition is different.
That's a crucial distinction, ambition and scalability. Let's look at the entrepreneurial spirit. Entrepreneurs often face uncertainty, but find excitement in building a successful startup from the ground up. This captures that dual nature, risk and reward. What drives someone to embrace such high levels of uncertainty? It seems stressful.
It is stressful. But this vividly portrays that inherently risky yet potentially highly rewarding nature of early entrepreneurship. It acknowledges the significant uncertainties, market acceptance, funding, competition that founders confront. However, it also emphasizes the deep satisfaction derived from creating value, solving problems, building a team, and developing a thriving business from its nascent stages. The drive often comes from a passion for innovation, a desire for autonomy, and the belief that they can genuinely make an impact or change something.
That desire for impact.
Okay.
Funding. The tech startup secured venture capital to develop its app prototype. Funding is crucial, especially for these innovation-driven businesses. Why is venture capital or VC so critical for startups, as opposed to, say, traditional bank loans?
This highlights a critical funding stage. Venture capital is typically provided to startups with high growth potential, often in exchange for equity, a share of the company, rather than traditional debt like a loan.
Right, they take a stake.
Exactly. It's specifically used to finance the development of initial, often very risky products or services, like an app prototype, before they're ready for a wider market launch or larger investment rounds. Banks are often reluctant to fund such unproven ventures with no track record, making VC an essential lifeline for many startups that are long on ideas but short on established revenue. They're betting on future potential.
And for adaptability, many startups pivot their strategies based on market feedback. So adaptability is key, not being afraid to change direction. What exactly does a pivot involve in the startup world, and why is it so necessary? Sounds like giving up on the original idea.
It can feel like that, but it's more nuanced. This demonstrates a hallmark of successful startups, their agility and responsiveness. A pivot signifies a strategic shift in direction, often a fundamental change in the product, the target market, or the business model itself. It's based on insights gained from early market testing or customer feedback. It's necessary because the initial brilliant idea might not always align with actual market demand or a viable path to scale. The ability to pivot quickly and decisively allows the company to adapt, learn, and increase its chances of success in a dynamic and uncertain environment. It's not giving up, it's learning and evolving.
Okay, our 11th term is LTD, that abbreviation used after a company name. It indicates owner's limited liability for company debts.
Limited company, private limited, LTD firm.
Exactly, LTD. Tiny abbreviation, huge implications for business owners. What's the single most important legal protection this designation offers?
The single most important protection provided by LTD is the establishment of limited liability. It's a legal designation that fundamentally alters the risk profile for the individuals involved.
How so?
It creates a distinct legal entity separate from the owners. This means that in the event of company debts or legal claims, the owner's personal assets, their house, their savings, are generally protected. Their financial exposure is limited only to the amount they've invested in the business, not their entire personal wealth. It's a crucial separation.
A huge safeguard. Let's see how these companies fit into larger structures. JKL Ltd is a subsidiary of a larger multinational corporation. This shows how limited companies can operate within complex corporate structures. What are the advantages for a multinational to have limited companies as subsidiaries rather than just branches?
This illustrates a common structure. The LTD confirms its status as a separate legal entity, even though it's owned by the parent. This affords the parent company specific financial and legal protections.
Right.
It's advantageous because it streamlines accountability, isolates specific risks to individual subsidiaries. If one fails, it doesn't necessarily bring down the whole group, and can help optimize tax structures across the entire multinational framework. It compartmentalizes risk and responsibility.
And the core benefit again. Registering as LTD shields personal assets from business debts. We've established this core protection. Is there any scenario where this protection might not fully apply? Can the veil be pierced, as they say?
You're right. This clarifies the primary legal benefit. However, it's important to note that protection isn't absolute. The corporate veil can potentially be pierced in certain circumstances.
Such as?
For instance, in cases of proven fraud, reckless financial mismanagement by the owners, or if owners have personally guaranteed company loans. In those situations, courts might hold the owners personally liable despite the LTD status. So, while powerful, it's not an impenetrable shield under all circumstances. Responsible governance is still key.
That's an important caveat. And a final example for LTD. ABC Ltd expanded its product line after going public. So a limited company can also transition to being publicly traded. What does this transition signify for the company and its owners? A big step.
It's a massive step. This example shows that progression from private limited status to becoming a publicly traded entity. While LTD itself indicates a privately held limited company, the transition to public ownership, often through an initial public offering or IPO, usually follows significant successful growth.
Right.
It provides substantial capital for further expansion, like diversifying a product line, by issuing shares to the general public. For the original owners, it can mean a massive liquidity event, turning their shares into cash and access to a much larger pool of investment capital. It marks a major growth milestone and a fundamental shift in corporate governance and reporting requirements.
Term number 12 is venture, a noun, meaning a business activity that is mostly very risky.
Endeavor, project, risky enterprise.
We just talked about startups, which are often ventures in themselves, implying that calculated risk. What differentiates a simple project from a venture? They both involve work towards a goal.
That's an excellent point about nuance. While a project is typically a planned set of tasks with a defined outcome and time frame, a venture inherently suggests more of a journey into the unknown. It carries a stronger connotation of potential high reward balanced by significant uncertainty and risk. It emphasizes the speculative nature of the undertaking, whether it's a new business, a new product line within an existing company, or a bold strategic initiative. A venture usually implies a higher degree of novelty and uncertainty than a typical, well-defined project.
That clarifies it nicely. Let's look at internal ventures. Launching a new product line was a risky venture for the company.
Right.
This illustrates that even established companies take on ventures. What makes launching a new product line so risky, even for a well-resourced company? It seems like they'd have advantages.
They do have advantages, but it's still risky. This highlights the inherent innovation risks associated with market entry, even for established players.
Yeah.
Introducing a new product line involves substantial investment, R&D, marketing, distribution with absolutely no guarantee of market acceptance. It's a strategic decision that carries the risk of significant financial loss if the product fails to resonate with consumers, doesn't achieve sufficient market penetration, or simply doesn't meet those crucial sales targets. Even with vast resources, consumer preferences can be incredibly unpredictable.
That's a good example of internal risk. How about spreading that risk? Joint ventures between companies can share expertise and costs. This shows a way to mitigate risk through collaboration. What are the main benefits of a joint venture over one company just going it alone?
This illustrates a common strategy for collaborative risk sharing. By forming a joint venture, or JV, two or more companies combine resources, knowledge, capital for a specific, often large or complex project.
Okay.
This approach allows them to undertake larger, potentially riskier endeavors, sharing both the potential rewards and the financial burdens. It thereby reduces individual exposure to failure, leverages combined strengths, one might have tech, the other market access, and can facilitate market entry in new regions by partnering with a local entity. It's a powerful alliance built on mutual benefit and shared responsibility.
And sometimes, the risk pays off spectacularly. His entrepreneurial venture into e-commerce paid off handsomely. The payoff makes the risk worthwhile. What are some of the critical success factors for an entrepreneurial venture to achieve such a lucrative outcome? Luck or more?
Luck always plays a part, but usually there's more to it. This exemplifies the successful outcomes that can result from bold business initiatives. It underscores the potential for high returns when an entrepreneur takes a calculated risk in a new or evolving market like e-commerce was.
Right.
Critical success factors often include identifying an underserved market niche, having a truly innovative product or service that solves a real problem, robust execution, effective marketing, and a keen ability to adapt quickly based on early market feedback. The handsomely paid off aspect signifies significant financial success and validation of the initial bold investment and strategic execution, proving the viability of the initial risk.
Our 13th term is incorporated, an adjective, meaning having become a legal business company.
Registered, corporate, formalized.
Right. Incorporated sounds very official, like a company has crossed a threshold into formal legal existence. What's the primary motivation for a sole proprietor, or maybe a partnership, to make that leap and become incorporated?
The primary motivation is almost always the desire for liability protection and often increased credibility. It signifies that critical legal transformation, granting the business a distinct identity separate from its owners and specific legal protections.
Okay.
This formalization provides a structured framework for operations and legal identity, separating the business's finances and legal responsibilities from those of the individuals who own or run it.
So it's about formalizing that separation. Let's look at a tangible advantage. An incorporated company often finds it easier to establish business credit compared to an unincorporated one. This highlights a real benefit. Why do banks and lenders look more favorably on incorporated entities? Is it just perception?
It's more than just perception. This points to a key advantage in financing. Being incorporated provides a business with greater credibility, perceived stability, and that formal legal structure. This naturally makes it more attractive to lenders and investors. This often translates into easier access to business credit, potentially better loan terms, and a stronger overall financial foundation compared to sole proprietorships or partnerships, which are viewed as intrinsically linked to the individual's personal financial risk. The separation makes lenders feel more secure.
And as we've seen before, this protection is key. The business became incorporated to limit owner liability. Again, similar to LTD. What implications does this ability to limit personal risk have for the entrepreneurial mindset? Does it encourage risk-taking?
Indeed, it mirrors the motivation behind the LTD designation. This explains that primary legal protection motivation. For the entrepreneurial mindset, this is hugely significant. It allows founders to take calculated business risks without necessarily jeopardizing their entire personal wealth, their home, their life savings. This can encourage more innovation and bolder strategic moves, fostering a more dynamic economy as people are more willing to try new things if their personal downside is capped.
So, with the advantages come responsibilities. Incorporated firms must file annual reports with regulators. This signals that formalization also brings compliance requirements. What's the purpose of these annual reports, and what kind of information do they typically contain?
Absolutely. This highlights the compliance obligations that come hand in hand with legal formalization. Incorporated firms are subject to specific regulatory requirements, including filing annual reports, maintaining detailed financial records, and adhering to corporate governance standards. The purpose of these reports is primarily to ensure transparency and accountability to shareholders, to regulators, to the public. They typically contain crucial information on financial performance, changes in ownership or directorship, operational activities, and confirmation that the company is adhering to legal requirements.
Okay, now we move into Section 2, Navigating Financial Operations and Health. Our first term here, number 14 overall, is audit, a noun. A formal inspection of a business's financial records to verify accuracy.
Examination, review, inspection.
Right. The word audit can sound daunting, maybe even causing a little internal panic for some people. But beyond the taxman knocking, what's an audit really designed to achieve, and why should businesses sometimes actually welcome them?
That's a great way to frame it. The perception of an audit is often negative, associated with scrutiny and finding fault. But fundamentally, it's an indispensable tool for ensuring accuracy, compliance, and even operational efficiency, whether it's internal or external. What often gets overlooked is that an audit provides an independent, objective review. It offers crucial credibility and insight. It's not just about finding errors, it's often about validating good practices and identifying opportunities for improvement. So it can be constructive.
That reframes it nicely. Let's start with the most common association. The IRS conducted a tax audit to verify the accuracy of the individual's tax returns, ensuring fiscal honesty with external bodies. What are the key elements the IRS, or a similar body, typically scrutinizes during such an audit?
This illustrates those regulatory compliance checks, specifically designed to ensure fiscal honesty and adherence to tax laws. A tax audit involves detailed scrutiny by a government agency, like the IRS.
Yeah.
They cross-verify reported income against other records, examine deductions and credits claimed, look for unusual patterns or discrepancies compared to industry averages. It's a vital part of government oversight, aiming to uphold the integrity of the tax system and deter fraudulent claims, making sure everyone pays their fair share.
Checks and balances. Now, internally. An internal audit revealed inefficiencies in the supply chain process, so it's not just about money. It can be about improving internal processes too. What's the strategic advantage of conducting an internal audit that goes beyond just the financial records?
That's a key distinction and a crucial strategic advantage. This highlights the use of self-assessment for operational improvements. Internal audits can, and often should, extend far beyond just financial records. They can evaluate processes across various departments, identifying bottlenecks in production, pinpointing waste in logistics, discovering areas where efficiency can be significantly enhanced in customer service. This proactive approach helps optimize resource allocation, improve overall productivity, strengthens internal controls, making operations smoother and more cost-effective in the long run.
And how about in the nonprofit world? The annual audit confirmed the nonprofit's transparent use of donations. This shows how audits build trust, especially for organizations relying on public support. Why is transparency through auditing so uniquely important for charities and nonprofits?
This underscores the critical importance of accountability in charitable organizations. For nonprofits, an annual independent audit is crucial. It demonstrates transparent use of funds, assuring donors that their contributions are being managed responsibly and are actually going towards the organization's stated mission.
Right.
This transparency is paramount in fostering public confidence, maintaining the organization's reputation, and ultimately ensuring continued financial support. Without it, trust can quickly erode and donations can dry up.
Our 15th term is deficit, a noun, meaning a shortfall. The needed amount is higher than the available amount, especially concerning money.
Shortfall, shortage, gap.
Exactly. Deficit always sounds like a problem, a gap that needs filling. But can a deficit ever be a deliberate strategic choice rather than just an unwanted problem?
That's a thought-provoking question. While deficit commonly signifies an imbalance where demand or need surpasses the available supply, often with significant negative implications, it can, in some specific macroeconomic contexts, be a calculated choice. For instance, a government might deliberately run a temporary budget deficit, spending more than it takes in specifically to stimulate a sluggish economy during a recession by funding infrastructure or providing aid.
Okay.
However, in most business contexts, a deficit is viewed as an indicator that resources are not meeting requirements, leading to potential difficulties if it's not addressed promptly.
That's a nuanced perspective. Let's look at a deficit in human capital. The deficit in qualified personnel posed a challenge for the healthcare system. Not just money, but people too. What are the ripple effects of such a deficit on a critical sector like healthcare?
This highlights severe resource gaps in human capital, and the impact is huge. It directly impacts service delivery. A shortage of qualified staff, doctors, nurses, technicians can lead to overworked employees, burnout, reduced service quality, and critically, an inability to meet public demand. This poses an existential challenge for essential sectors like healthcare, potentially leading to longer wait times, poorer patient outcomes, and even a crisis in public health provision if it becomes widespread.
And the most commonly heard use. The budget deficit prompted the government to implement austerity measures. This is about national finances and often very difficult choices. What are the typical social and economic consequences of austerity measures? They sound harsh.
They often are. This illustrates fiscal imbalances at a national level. A persistent budget deficit where government spending consistently exceeds revenue often necessitates painful policy changes like austerity measures.
Okay.
These typically involve deep cuts to public spending, education, social welfare, healthcare, sometimes tax increases, or often a combination of both. While aimed at restoring economic stability and reducing national debt, they frequently come with significant social consequences. Increased unemployment, reduced public services, heightened social inequality, and they often spark widespread public debate and protest. It's a very tough balancing act.
A tough balancing act indeed. And finally, for deficit. A trade deficit occurs when imports exceed exports in a country's economy. This is a key indicator in macroeconomics, showing global trade dynamics. What does a persistent trade deficit signal about a country's economic competitiveness or structure?
This demonstrates a macroeconomic imbalance that significantly influences currency values and trade policies. When a country consistently imports more goods and services than it exports, it can weaken the national currency, making imports more expensive eventually, impact domestic industries by making foreign goods seem cheaper initially, and lead to policy interventions aimed at promoting exports or restricting imports to try and rebalance trade.
Okay.
A persistent trade deficit can signal a lack of competitiveness in certain domestic industries, or perhaps an over-reliance on foreign goods and resources, indicating potential underlying structural issues in the economy that might need addressing.
Our 16th term is expenditure, a noun meaning the act of using money, the amount spent.
Spending, outlay, cost.
Right. Expenditure sounds formal, but it's just about spending, personal or corporate. How does this term differ from expense? Is one just more formal, or is there a functional difference?
While fundamentally about spending, expenditure often implies a more planned or strategic allocation of funds. Its analysis is key to financial health. Expense is typically more about the recurring, day-to-day costs of running a business, rent, salaries, utilities.
Got it.
So, while all expenditures result in expenses on the books, not all routine expenses would be labeled as a significant strategic expenditure. The former suggests a more deliberate deployment of resources, often for a specific, larger purpose.
That's a valuable nuance. Let's look at strategic spending. Expenditure on research and development is essential for innovation and growth in the technology sector. Spending money to make money later. Why is this particular type of expenditure so critical for innovation?
This emphasizes strategic investment as a driver of long-term progress. In fast-moving sectors like technology, allocating significant funds to R&D isn't just an expense, it's a critical, forward-looking investment.
Right.
It fuels the creation of new products, processes, services, ensuring a company remains competitive and relevant in a rapidly evolving market. It directly correlates spending with future innovation and market leadership. Essentially, you're investing in your future success.
A long-term play.
Yeah.
Now, something more relatable. Tracking personal expenditure helps in maintaining a balanced budget. Understanding where your money goes. What are some effective strategies for tracking personal expenditure that you've seen people use successfully? Budgeting isn't always easy.
It's not easy, but this illustrates a fundamental principle of financial management for individual fiscal health. By meticulously monitoring personal spending, individuals can identify areas for potential saving, prevent overspending, and ensure income covers expenses,
Right.
ultimately leading to a more stable budget and better financial control. Effective strategies range from simple spreadsheets or budgeting apps, there are tons of them now,
Wow.
to the old-fashioned envelope system where you allocate cash. But the key, whatever method you use, is consistency and being really honest with yourself about where the money is truly going.
And a different scale of spending. Capital expenditure on new machinery improve the factory's productivity. This isn't day-to-day spending. This is about big, impactful investments. How does capital expenditure differ in its accounting treatment from regular operational expenditures?
This refers to those major investments in tangible assets, machinery, buildings, vehicles, which are designed to enhance operational capabilities and provide benefits over many years.
Okay.
Capital expenditure, often called CapEx, is distinct from operational expenses, OpEx, which are consumed within a single accounting period. CapEx is typically capitalized on the balance sheet, treated as an asset, and then depreciated over its useful life, spreading the cost out. OpEx is expensed immediately in the period it occurs. This accounting treatment reflects its nature as a long-term strategic investment in future productive capacity.
Our 17th term is invoice, a noun, a list of goods or services received and their total cost.
Bill, statement, receipt. Similar concepts.
The invoice seems like a simple document, but crucial for all transactions. What's the primary purpose of an invoice, and why is it so indispensable in the modern economy? Can't we just agree on a price?
You could agree, but the invoice formalizes it. It's truly the backbone of financial transactions. It serves as both a formal record and, crucially, a demand for payment.
Ah, the demand part.
Exactly. Its primary purpose is to formalize the agreement between buyer and seller regarding goods or services rendered. It provides clear documentation. What was provided, at what cost, under what payment terms. It's indispensable because it initiates the payment process, facilitates accurate accounting for both parties, and serves as legal proof of a transaction should any dispute arise later.
Clarity and accountability. He reviewed the invoice for discrepancies before approving it for payment. Underscores the importance of verification. What are the most common discrepancies someone might look for on an invoice before paying?
This demonstrates a critical verification step in accounts payable. Thoroughly reviewing an invoice before authorization is essential.
Right.
You need to ensure the goods or services received match what was ordered, the quantities are accurate, the pricing is correct as per the agreement or purchase order. Common discrepancies include incorrect unit prices, wrong quantities shipped or billed, duplicate billing for the same item, or charges for items that were never actually received.
That happens.
Oh, yes. This due diligence prevents overpayments, errors, and potential financial losses. It's a crucial internal control.
And its role in the supply chain. The supplier sent an invoice detailing the shipment of raw materials. A necessary document keeping everything accounted for. How does an invoice help manage that complex flow of goods and money in a supply chain?
This illustrates essential documentation. An invoice serves as formal notification from a supplier detailing the specific raw materials shipped, their quantities, unit prices, the total amount due. It acts as a primary record for both the supplier and the buyer. It facilitates inventory management on the buyer side, financial reconciliation for both, and importantly, provides a clear basis for dispute resolution if there are any issues with the order, wrong items, damaged goods, etc. It ensures clear communication and traceability throughout that chain.
And finally, for invoice. Digital invoices streamline billing and reduce paperwork in modern businesses. Technology making a paper-heavy process more efficient. What are the wider benefits of this digital transformation beyond just saving trees?
The environmental benefit is nice, but the business benefits are huge. This highlights significant technological efficiency gains. Digital invoices automate billing processes, dramatically reduce manual data entry errors.
Fewer typos.
Fewer typos, exactly, minimizes physical storage needs, and significantly speeds up payment cycles because they can be sent and processed instantly. This transition contributes to greater operational fluidity, substantial cost savings in administrative overhead, improved accuracy, enhanced security, and overall business agility. It frees up staff for more strategic tasks than stuffing envelopes.
Term number 18 is margin, a noun in business. The difference between the cost to produce or buy something and its selling price.
Profit margin, markup, edge.
Right. Margin, this is where the profit happens, that space between cost and revenue. What's the biggest mistake businesses make when trying to increase their margins? Seems simple, just raise prices or cut costs.
If only it were that simple.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake businesses often make is focusing solely on cutting costs without considering the impact on quality, customer value, or brand perception.
The long-term view.
Exactly. While fundamentally about profitability, directly indicating financial health and pricing power, a healthy margin is essential for long-term sustainability and growth. Trying to boost it by overly aggressive cost-cutting, maybe using cheaper materials, can erode the customer experience and ultimately backfire, damaging the brand.
That's a crucial balance. Let's look at pricing strategy. They adjusted their pricing strategy to improve their profit margin without compromising quality. Shows that delicate balance. How do companies typically go about finding that sweet spot in pricing? Seems like art and science.
It really is a mix. This explains that intricate act of cost-price balancing. Companies constantly analyze their cost structures, the competitive landscape, market demand to set prices that maximize that difference between revenue and expenses. This often involves market research, competitor analysis, customer value perception, studies what are customers willing to pay, and even A/B testing different price points online. The challenge is to enhance the profit margin through strategic adjustments without alienating customers or diminishing the perceived value. It requires careful market understanding and continuous calibration.
So, if the margin is small, efficiency becomes even more critical. Thin margins in the retail industry require efficient inventory management. How critical is inventory management when profitability hangs by such a thread?
Absolutely critical. This highlights how competitive pressures necessitate operational precision. In industries like retail or grocery, characterized by fierce competition and notoriously low profit margins.
Razor thin sometimes.
Exactly. Meticulous inventory management is paramount. Minimizing waste from spoilage or obsolescence, optimizing stock levels to avoid both overstocking, tying up cash, and stockouts, losing sales, streamlining logistics, these become critical strategies to eke out profitability from each sale. Even small inefficiencies can completely erode those slim profits. Every penny counts.
And the power of analysis. The gross margin analysis revealed opportunities for cost reductions. Shows how analyzing these numbers leads to tangible improvements. What kind of cost reductions might such an analysis typically uncover?
This refers to the power of financial metrics in guiding expense control. By dissecting the gross margin, that's revenue, minus the direct cost of goods sold.
Okay.
Businesses can pinpoint specific areas where production or procurement costs are too high relative to the selling price. This analysis then informs decisions. Maybe they can renegotiate supplier contracts, optimize manufacturing processes for greater efficiency, find more cost-effective raw materials, or even explore alternative sourcing options. It's about using data to make informed decisions to boost profitability at the source.
Our 19th term is turnover, a noun. Now, the outline says the overall amount of profit, but usually turnover refers to revenue, right? Let's clarify that. It usually means the total sales revenue.
Yes, you're absolutely right to clarify. That definition in the outline might be a slight oversimplification or common confusion. In standard business terminology, turnover almost always refers to the total sales revenue generated by a business over a specific period before deducting costs. It's the top-line figure.
Okay, great clarification. Synonyms then are revenue, sales volume, income. Though income can sometimes imply net income, so revenue sales are better. So turnover, often confused with profit, but it's really about the total revenue generated. What's a common pitfall of focusing only on turnover as a measure of success? High turnover must be good, right?
Not necessarily. That's the pitfall. Turnover can be a misleading metric if you don't analyze it alongside profitability. While it's a key indicator of a company's activity level and market reach, measuring total sales before expenses, a high revenue turnover might mask a dangerously low profit margin or even hide deeper organizational issues. Maybe they're achieving high turnover by unsustainable price cutting, for example. It only tells part of the story, the activity level, not necessarily the health.
That's a great point about looking deeper. Let's start with market dynamics. They attributed the decline in turnover to changes in consumer behavior and increased competition. Shows how external factors impact performance. What are some examples of changing consumer behavior that might cause turnover to drop for traditional businesses?
This illustrates how those external market forces significantly influence business performance. A drop in total sales revenue indicates the company is selling less or maybe at lower prices.
Right.
This can be directly linked to shifts in how customers buy and move from physical stores to online, a preference for subscription models over one-time purchases, maybe increasing demand for sustainable or ethically sourced products that the company doesn't offer. And of course, intensifying rivalry from new or existing competitors always plays a role, necessitating strategic adaptations to regain market share or find new revenue streams.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because turnover has a completely different meaning in HR. High employee turnover can disrupt team dynamics and increase recruitment costs. What are the often unseen costs associated with high employee turnover beyond just the obvious recruitment fees?
This highlights that important shift in context financial to human resources. In this usage, turnover means the rate at which employees leave a company. High rates can destabilize teams, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the hidden costs are significant. Loss of institutional knowledge and corporate memory, the cost of onboarding and training new staff until they're fully productive, reduced productivity during the transition period for the whole team, often decreased team morale, and potentially a negative impact on customer service and even overall company culture. It really underscores the critical importance of employee retention strategies for organizational stability and cost control. It's expensive to keep replacing people.
And finally, for turnover, back to its financial sense. Annual turnover reports help investors assess a company's financial health. So it's a vital piece of information for external stakeholders. Why is this top-line figure, the total revenue, so important for investors even before they look at the profit figure?
This demonstrates the importance of financial reporting for that stakeholder evaluation. Investors look at turnover figures as a primary metric to understand a company's market penetration, sales growth trajectory, and overall commercial activity level.
Okay.
Consistent or growing turnover signals a robust business capable of generating substantial sales, which is generally a positive indicator for potential investment, even before considering profitability. It's a measure of market acceptance and the basic demand for the company's offerings. It shows the business is active and engaging customers.
Our 20th term is yield, a noun. An amount of profit gained from an investment or business, or output.
Return, output, dividend.
Right. Yield, it can refer to financial returns or even physical production, showing its versatility. What's a key distinction between yield and profit? Are they always the same thing?
That's a good point about versatility, and no, they aren't always the same. While often related, profit is typically the absolute financial gain in currency terms. Yield, especially in finance, usually expresses that gain as a percentage of the initial investment or principal amount.
The percentage aspect.
Exactly. So yield is about what an investment or a process produces, expressed often as a rate of return, or it can be a physical quantity of output, like in agriculture. It measures the productivity or profitability rate of an asset or operation relative to the input or investment.
That clarifies the relationship. Let's start with direct financial returns. The stock portfolio showed a steady yield, generating consistent profits for the shareholders. This is a direct financial return. What makes a steady yield particularly attractive to certain types of investors? High yield sounds better, no?
High yield often means high risk. This example illustrates the concept of investment returns over time. A steady yield implies the stock portfolio is consistently generating income for its investors through dividends, interest, maybe stable capital gains.
Okay.
This predictability is often a highly desirable trait for investors seeking stable income streams, perhaps retirees or those with fixed income needs, rather than chasing volatile high-risk growth. It provides a reliable source of funds and often indicates a lower-risk investment profile focused on preservation and income rather than just rapid appreciation.
Now, linking yield to broader economic factors. Bond yields fluctuate based on interest rate changes in the market. This links yield to specific financial instruments, bonds. How do central bank interest rates directly influence bond yields? It seems counterintuitive sometimes.
It can seem that way. This explains how the performance of financial instruments, particularly bonds, is influenced by macroeconomic factors. Bond yields represent the return an investor receives relative to the bond's current market price. They are inversely related to bond prices and are highly sensitive to changes in central bank interest rates. When central banks raise interest rates, newly issued bonds will offer higher coupon rates, interest payments. This makes older, existing bonds with lower coupon rates less attractive.
So their price falls.
Exactly. Their price falls in the secondary market, which in turn increases their yield for anyone buying them at that lower price. It's a fundamental dynamic in fixed income markets.
And a complete shift to a non-financial context.
Huh.
Agricultural yield improved with the adoption of advanced farming techniques. Here, it's referring to physical output. What are some of the most impactful advanced farming techniques that have boosted agricultural yield globally?
This is a fantastic example of the term's application outside finance, referring directly to production output. Improved agricultural yield means getting a greater quantity of crops, like tons of wheat or bushels of corn from the same amount of land. This improvement is often directly attributable to innovations like higher-yielding genetically modified seeds, precision irrigation systems that use water more effectively, advanced pest and disease control methods, the use of drone technology for monitoring crop health, or soil nutrient management tailored precisely to the needs of the crop and field. It measures efficiency and productivity in the primary sector, which is absolutely crucial for global food security.
Our 21st term is net, an adjective, meaning the final amount after the deduction of all costs.
After tax, bottom line, clear.
Net, it's all about what's left after everything else is accounted for. Why is the net figure always considered the most significant number in financial reporting? Isn't the gross figure important too?
The gross figure is important, it shows activity, but the net figure is consistently the most significant because it signifies the ultimate refined figure. It's free from all preceding deductions or inclusions. It represents the true, unburdened value after all necessary subtractions have been made. It gives the most accurate picture of final performance or value. For investors, net income is the real earnings. For individuals, net pay is the actual take-home amount. It's what truly matters at the end of the day.
That clarity is important. Let's look at a property sale. The net proceeds from the sale of the property will be used to repay outstanding debts. This refers to the actual usable funds after all expenses. What kind of expenses would typically be deducted to arrive at the net proceeds in a property sale?
This refers to those remaining funds after all the associated expenses and obligations in a transaction have been settled. In property sales, net proceeds means the money left over after deducting various costs. Typically, these include real estate agent commissions, legal fees, transfer taxes, any outstanding mortgage balance that needs to be paid off, maybe some closing costs or adjustments. This is the true amount available for other purposes, like debt repayment or reinvestment, representing the actual cash the seller walks away with.
And the ultimate measure of business success. Net income is a key indicator of a company's profitability. The ultimate bottom line. Why is net income considered the most comprehensive measure of financial performance?
Absolutely, it's the bottom line for a reason. This explains one of the core metrics in financial statements. Net income is what remains after all expenses, the cost of goods sold, operating expenses like salaries and rent, interest payments on debt, and crucially, taxes have been subtracted from total revenue.
Everything.
Everything. It's the most comprehensive measure because it accounts for every single cost associated with doing business, showing how much money the company truly earned for its owners or shareholders over that given period.
And another practical application showing it applies beyond just money. Calculate the net weight by subtracting the container's mass. How crucial is this distinction between net weight and gross weight in logistics and manufacturing?
This demonstrates the term's application to physical measurements. Net weight refers specifically to the weight of the contents, only the product itself, excluding the weight of the packaging, container, pallet, etc.
Okay.
This distinction is crucial for several reasons. Accurate shipping costs, you often pay based on weight. Inventory management, knowing how much actual product you have. Ensuring product quantity standards for consumers, you buy 500 grams of coffee, not 500 grams coffee plus jar. And regulatory compliance in many industries. It impacts efficiency, pricing, and legal adherence.
We're now moving into our third and final section. Management, operations, and strategic actions. Our first term here, 22nd overall, is cooperative, but this time as an adjective, meaning involving partnership of a group working toward a common goal.
Collaborative, joint, mutual.
We discussed cooperative, the noun, the organization. As an adjective, it describes an approach, a way of working together. What's the main benefit of adopting a cooperative approach in team projects versus everyone just doing their own part?
The main benefit is often the synergy it creates, leading to better outcomes. As an adjective, cooperative emphasizes that shared effort and collective pursuit of objectives. It's crucial in many contexts. It highlights the spirit of mutual support and shared responsibility in achieving a common aim. In team projects, a cooperative approach not only potentially improves the results, but also fosters stronger working relationships, better communication, and a sense of collective ownership over the success or failure.
That synergy is vital. Let's look at its impact on innovation. The cooperative approach to problem solving led to innovative solutions and improved outcomes. Shows the power of teamwork. How does encouraging diverse perspectives within a cooperative framework specifically lead to more innovative solutions?
This highlights the effectiveness of teamwork. A cooperative approach involves individuals or groups actively working together, sharing ideas openly, building on each other's suggestions, and leveraging diverse perspectives without fear of individual failure or judgment. This collaborative dynamic often sparks creativity, leads to more robust and innovative solutions by considering multiple angles and challenging assumptions, and ultimately results in superior outcomes compared to isolated individual efforts. It demonstrates the power of collective intelligence, the idea that the group is smarter than the smartest person in the group.
And its application beyond business. Cooperative learning in classrooms fosters student engagement, illustrates its educational benefits. How does cooperative learning in schools prepare students for future professional environments where teamwork is often key?
This illustrates those educational applications. Cooperative learning structures, where students work in small groups on shared tasks, promote active participation, peer-to-peer teaching, and deeper understanding. But crucially, beyond the academic subject matter, it cultivates essential social and professional skills. Communication, negotiation, conflict resolution, accountability to others, sharing responsibility. These are indispensable skills in almost any future professional setting where collaboration is required.
And on a global scale, international cooperative efforts address the global climate crisis. Talking about global challenges and the necessity of multilateral action, what makes a cooperative approach absolutely essential for tackling issues of this magnitude? Why can't one powerful country just fix it?
This demonstrates the critical role of multilateral partnerships. Global problems like climate change, pandemics, large-scale economic crises, they simply cannot be solved by a single nation acting alone, no matter how powerful.
Right.
They inherently require a genuinely cooperative stance. This means coordinated efforts, shared resources and technology, joint policy formulation, mutual commitment, and accountability among multiple countries to achieve a common, impactful goal. It's a testament to the need for global unity and shared responsibility when facing universal threats that transcend borders.
Our 23rd term is managerial, an adjective related to managing or supervising tasks, resources, or personnel.
Administrative, supervisory, executive.
Right. Managerial instantly brings to mind leadership, oversight, decision-making roles. What's the biggest difference between having strong technical skills in the field and having strong managerial skills? Can you be good at one and not the other?
Oh, absolutely. That's a fundamental distinction. While technical skills relate to the specific tasks of a job, coding, designing, operating machinery, managerial encapsulates the functions and responsibilities associated with guiding an organization's resources, people, money, time toward strategic goals. The biggest difference is that managerial skills are less about doing the task yourself and more about enabling others to do it effectively. It's about planning, organizing, leading, controlling, making decisions, motivating teams, orchestrating efforts. It's the essence of leadership and organizational control, a very different skill set.
That's a great way to put it, enabling others. Let's look at core requirements. Managerial positions often require experience in decision-making and conflict resolution. Outlines essential skills. How do these two skills, decision-making and conflict resolution, specifically contribute to effective management?
They are absolutely critical. This illustrates skills necessary at higher organizational levels. Individuals in managerial roles are constantly faced with choices, big and small, strategic and operational. They must possess the ability to make sound decisions, often under pressure, with incomplete information, and considering various trade-offs.
Right.
Furthermore, effective conflict resolution is paramount. Teams inevitably have disagreements. A manager needs to address these constructively to maintain team cohesion, foster a positive work environment, and ensure productivity doesn't grind to a halt. Unresolved conflicts can severely impede progress. Both skills are indispensable for a harmonious and efficient working environment.
So continuous development is key. She attended a managerial training program to enhance her skills. Shows the importance of development for leaders. What areas are typically covered in such programs to enhance managerial skills? What do they teach you?
This highlights that need for professional development in oversight roles. Investing in managerial training is crucial for people aspiring to or currently in leadership positions. Such programs typically focus on refining skills in areas like team leadership and motivation techniques, strategic planning frameworks, effective communication, upwards, downwards, sideways, performance management and feedback, delegation strategies, coaching and mentoring skills, financial literacy for managers, the list goes on. They aim to enable managers to become more effective, adapt to evolving business challenges, and ultimately develop their teams more successfully.
And a specialized financial practice. Managerial accounting focuses on internal data for planning. Shows a specific type of accounting tailored for internal use, unlike external financial reporting, which is for investors, etc. How does the internal focus of managerial accounting directly impact strategic decision-making within a company?
This demonstrates that specialized practice, distinct from external financial accounting, which follows strict rules like GAAP or IFRS. Managerial accounting provides internal stakeholders, particularly managers, with detailed, customized financial and non-financial information. This data is used for crucial internal decision-making, budgeting, cost analysis, which products are most profitable, performance evaluation of departments or projects, and strategic planning, should we invest in this new machine. Its internal focus means it can be more forward-looking, flexible, and tailored to specific decisions, directly empowering internal strategy by providing real-time insights for optimizing future operations, rather than just reporting historical results to outsiders.
Our 24th term is profitable, an adjective, meaning of a business providing benefits or valuable returns.
Lucrative, gainful, remunerative.
Right, profitable. The ultimate goal for most businesses, indicating success and viability. What's the difference between a profitable business and a sustainable business? We hear both terms a lot. Are they always the same thing?
That's an important distinction, and no, they are not always the same. While profitable certainly signifies a positive return on investment, making an enterprise attractive and confirming it's creating value beyond its costs, a profitable business isn't automatically sustainable. A business can be highly profitable in the short term, perhaps by cutting corners, polluting, exploiting labor, or depleting crucial resources. But those practices may not be sustainable in the long run. A truly sustainable business aims to ensure its long-term future by balancing profit with social and environmental responsibility, the triple bottom line concept.
That's a vital consideration. Let's look at innovation driving profit. His innovative app quickly became one of the most profitable products in the tech industry. Links innovation directly to high returns. What typically makes an innovative product, like an app, so profitable in a crowded market?
This exemplifies those high-return ventures driven by innovation. In hyper-competitive sectors like technology, a truly groundbreaking product, one that solves a widespread problem in a novel way or creates entirely new value or convenience, can capture significant market share very rapidly. When the revenue generated from such an app far exceeds its development, marketing, and operational costs, it becomes exceptionally profitable, rewarding the initial investment and risk handsomely. Key factors often include exceptional user experience, solving a real customer pain point effectively, strong network effects, and maybe clever market timing.
And strategic planning for profit. Diversifying investments can make a portfolio more profitable. Shows how strategic financial planning can lead to better returns. How does diversification actually achieve this without necessarily increasing risk? Seems like spreading bets might just dilute gains.
That's a common thought, but it's about managing downside risk. This explains how intelligent risk management can potentially lead to better, more consistent yields over time. By spreading investments across various asset classes, stocks, bonds, real estate, industries, or geographies, diversification reduces the overall risk of the portfolio because not all assets move in the same direction at the same time. While it doesn't guarantee higher returns in every single period, it increases the probability of achieving a consistently profitable performance by mitigating the impact of poor performance from any single investment. If one investment underperforms, others may compensate, leading to a smoother, more stable, and often more profitable overall return in the long run. It's a cornerstone of sound investment strategy.
And a transformational approach. The merger turned two struggling firms into a profitable entity. Demonstrates how strategic consolidations can revitalize businesses. How do mergers achieve this revitalization, especially when both firms were struggling beforehand? Seems like putting two weaklings together wouldn't help.
It might seem that way, but this highlights strategic consolidations as a potential means for financial turnaround. Merging two previously underperforming companies can, if done well, create significant synergies.
Synergies like what?
Things like reducing redundant costs by consolidating operations, one HQ instead of two, fewer administrative staff, expanding market share by combining customer bases, and combining complementary strengths. Maybe one had good tech, the other had good distribution. When executed effectively, such a consolidation can transform financially challenged entities into a single, more robust, and ultimately profitable business by leveraging economies of scale and scope, creating value where little existed before.
Our 25th term is to administer, a verb, to be responsible for a company, organization, etc., and manage its affairs.
Manage, oversee, direct.
To administer suggests a hands-on guiding role in managing an entity. What's the biggest challenge when administering a very large or complex organization compared to a small one? Seems like complexity would be the killer.
Complexity is definitely a huge factor. The biggest challenge when administering a large, complex organization is often maintaining cohesion, communication, and control across diverse departments, possibly multiple geographies, different cultures within the organization.
Right.
The verb administer speaks to that active management and oversight required to ensure an organization functions effectively and meets its objectives. It implies responsibility for the efficient operation and strategic direction. In a large, complex system, ensuring all the different parts are moving in concert towards the same goals becomes incredibly difficult, requiring sophisticated systems and strong leadership.
That coordination is tough. Let's look at an institutional setting. The school principal actively administers the educational programs and resources, provides a clear example of leadership. Beyond the classroom teaching aspect, what specific things does a school principal typically administer?
This demonstrates leadership in institutional operations. A school principal's role involves far more than just observing teaching. It encompasses managing curriculum development and implementation, allocating budgets effectively, overseeing staff performance and development, ensuring student welfare and discipline, handling community relations and parental engagement, managing the physical facilities, and ensuring the smooth functioning of all educational programs and resources to achieve academic goals. They truly act as the primary administrator of the entire school ecosystem, balancing academic, operational, and human resource demands.
And a legal context? Lawyers administer estates according to legal wills. This highlights a fiduciary duty, a role of trust and legal responsibility. What does fiduciary duty specifically mean in this context, and why is it so critically important?
This illustrates those specific fiduciary duties in asset management after someone passes away. When a lawyer or executor is appointed to administer an estate, they are legally responsible for gathering all assets, paying all legitimate debts and taxes, and then distributing the remaining property to the beneficiaries strictly according to the deceased's legal will and applicable probate laws.
Okay.
Fiduciary duty means they must act with the utmost good faith, loyalty, and prudence solely on behalf of the beneficiaries, avoiding any personal conflicts of interest. It's a role requiring meticulous adherence to legal frameworks and unwavering integrity because they are handling other people's money and legacy.
And a large-scale public application. Governments administer public funds for infrastructure projects. Shows large-scale policy execution, managing public money for public good. What are the key ethical considerations when a government administers huge sums of public funds for these big projects?
This demonstrates policy execution in public sector finance. Governments are tasked with the immense responsibility of managing and allocating taxpayer money for public services and large-scale infrastructure, roads, bridges, hospitals.
Right.
Administering these funds involves careful budgeting, rigorous project oversight, and ensuring that public resources are used efficiently, effectively, and transparently for the intended collective benefit. Key ethical considerations include preventing corruption and cronyism, ensuring equitable distribution of benefits across communities, managing environmental impact responsibly, maintaining accountability to the public through reporting, and getting value for money. It's about serving the greater good without waste or malfeasance.
Our 26th term is to close, a verb meaning to finalize a business deal.
Conclude, seal, complete.
To close, it signifies the culmination of negotiations. That moment a deal is finally sealed. What's a common mistake that prevents deals from successfully closing, even when they seem close?
A very common mistake, especially in complex deals, is a failure to truly understand and address all parties' underlying needs, concerns, and sometimes egos. Closing is that critical juncture where agreement transitions into a binding commitment. It marks the end of one phase, negotiation, and the beginning of another, implementation. It's the moment the hard work comes to fruition. Often, deals fall apart right at the end because one party feels unheard, or a crucial requirement, maybe something not purely financial, isn't adequately met or acknowledged in the final stages. Lack of attention to detail or unresolved minor issues can derail things.
That's a great insight into the human element. Let's look at the formality. With a handshake and signed contract, they officially close the partnership agreement. Vividly illustrates the final act. What's the significance of having both the handshake and the signed contract in this scenario?
This refers to that definitive act of deal finalization. While a handshake traditionally symbolizes mutual agreement, trust, and personal commitment sealing the deal on a human level, a signed contract provides the legally binding framework. It details all the specific terms, conditions, obligations, and remedies. Closing the agreement means all terms have been agreed upon, conditions met, and the formal process is complete, enabling both parties to move forward with implementation, backed by both that personal trust and crucial legal enforceability. You really need both.
And the pressure to close. Sales teams work hard to close deals before quarter end. Shows the pressure and strategic timing in revenue generation. What kind of strategies do sales teams typically employ in those final frantic weeks leading up to a quarter-end deadline?
This highlights the intense timing pressures common in sales organizations. Sales teams are driven by targets and deadlines, particularly quarter-end or year-end, to finalize as many sales as possible. This period often involves accelerated negotiations, perhaps offering limited time incentives or discounts to nudge hesitant clients over the line, intense follow-ups, and prioritizing deals that are closest to closing. Closing deals directly impacts quarterly financial results, commissions, and team performance metrics, making it a high-stakes, high-pressure time for sales professionals and for the company's reported performance.
And a specific market application. The real estate agent helped close the property sale swiftly. A specific application in a market where timing is often critical. What factors contribute to a swift property closing? It can often drag on for months.
It can. This demonstrates transactional closures in a specific market. In real estate, closing a sale involves coordinating all the complex legal and financial processes needed to transfer property ownership. A swift closure usually indicates efficiency in managing paperwork, securing mortgage approvals quickly, coordinating legal reviews, arranging inspections, and handling financial transfers smoothly. This is often facilitated by an experienced agent who anticipates potential roadblocks, communicates effectively with all parties, buyer, seller, lenders, lawyers, inspectors, and proactively navigates the complexities to ensure a quick and smooth transaction for everyone involved. Good preparation and communication are key.
Our 27th term is to merge, a verb, to combine and create one whole.
Unite, amalgamate, consolidate.
To merge implies a coming together, creating something new, hopefully stronger. What's a key reason companies might choose to merge rather than, say, one simply acquiring the other? What's the strategic difference?
That's an insightful question about corporate strategy. A key reason companies might choose to frame a combination as a merger, often a merger of equals, rather than one acquiring the other, is often to imply a more equal partnership and integration. It can be better for morale and integrating cultures.
The softer side.
Exactly. An acquisition typically implies one, usually larger, company buying out and subsuming the other. A merger describes a process intended to feel more like a mutual integration, where distinct entities become a unified whole, ideally for strategic advantage. The goal is often explicitly stated as creating a combined entity that is greater than the sum of its parts, leveraging strengths from both sides.
That difference in control and perception is significant. Let's look at a creative analogy.
Yeah.
In music production, tracks from different instruments merge to form a cohesive and harmonious composition. A wonderful analogy showing integration beyond business. What makes this analogy so effective for understanding the concept of merging?
It's an excellent creative example. It vividly illustrates how individual components, each with its own character, when carefully blended and balanced, create a superior unified outcome. In music, each instrument contributes its unique sound and texture, but it's their harmonious merging under a composer's or producer's vision, adjusting levels, EQ, timing that produces the rich, complete composition listeners experience. It's about synergy in art, showing how disparate elements can combine to create something greater and more impactful than they could alone.
So synergy is the goal. For corporate restructuring, two banks decided to merge to strengthen their market position. a classic corporate restructuring move for competitive advantage. What are the main benefits a merger provides to banks in particular? Seems common in that industry.
It is common. This illustrates corporate restructuring undertaken for competitiveness. When two companies, particularly in the financial sector, merge, they aim to achieve significant economies of scale, reducing cost per customer, reduce redundant overhead costs, closing overlapping branches, expand their customer base geographically or demographically, and gain a larger share of the market. For banks, this means potentially a wider branch network, a broader range of financial products to cross-sell, increased capital base for lending, and an overall strengthening position against rivals, potentially allowing them to offer more competitive rates or services.
And a technical application. Merging datasets improve the accuracy of the AI model. Shows a technical application, bringing data together for a better outcome. Why is merging datasets so important for AI development? Isn't more data always better?
More data can be better, but merging diverse datasets is particularly powerful. This demonstrates crucial technical applications in data management and AI. By combining multiple datasets, perhaps from different sources or covering different time periods or demographics, researchers and developers can create a more comprehensive, diverse, and robust training pool for AI models. This larger and richer input often leads to improved pattern recognition, reduced bias by including more varied examples, and ultimately a more accurate and robust AI system capable of better predictions and decisions across a wider range of scenarios. It's about feeding the AI more and better, more representative information.
Our 28th term is to publicize, a verb. To draw public attention to something by giving information, often as an act of advertisement.
Promote, advertise, broadcast.
To publicize, it's all about getting the word out, making something known. What's a common pitfall when trying to publicize something in today's incredibly crowded media landscape? How do you cut through the noise?
That's the million-dollar question. A common pitfall is failing to cut through that noise with a clear, compelling, and targeted message. To publicize is that deliberate act of communication aimed at garnering public awareness and attention. It's essential for promotion or information dissemination. However, in today's saturated media environment, social media feeds, 24-hour news, a generic message often gets completely lost. The true challenge is creating something unique, relevant, and engaging enough to capture attention and resonate specifically with the intended target audience. Broadcasting widely isn't always effective.
That's a constant battle. Let's start with a direct marketing effort. He publicized the concert, hoping to sell more tickets. A very direct effort for an event. What channels would be most effective for publicizing a local concert today?
This highlights those specific marketing efforts for events. The act of publicizing a concert involves using various channels to inform the target audience. For a local concert today, effective channels would likely include targeted social media advertising, reaching fans of similar artists in the area, local event listing websites and newsletters, maybe partnerships with local radio stations or businesses, and definitely grassroots marketing like posters in cafes or record stores where the target audience hangs out. The goal is generating sufficient interest to drive ticket sales through direct, relevant audience engagement.
Beyond direct sales, companies publicize CSR initiatives to enhance brand image, moves beyond sales to reputation management and public perception. Why has publicizing corporate social responsibility, CSR, become such a critical part of corporate strategy for many companies?
This explains reputation management through strategic visibility. CSR initiatives, environmental programs, community support, ethical sourcing are often publicized not just to inform, but to significantly improve a company's public perception and build brand equity. By showcasing their commitment to social good, companies aim to build a positive brand image, foster consumer trust and loyalty, attract and retain employees who care about values, and differentiate themselves in a market where consumers and investors increasingly factor ethical practices into their decisions. It's about demonstrating corporate values beyond just profit.
And a modern approach to self-promotion. The author publicized her new book via social media tours, a modern approach in publishing. How have social media tours changed the game for authors compared to traditional physical book tours?
This refers to those contemporary self-promotion strategies. In the digital age, authors frequently leverage social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, engaging directly with readers. Through virtual events like live Q&As, readings, takeovers of accounts, sharing behind-the-scenes content. This direct-to-consumer approach significantly broadens an author's reach, making it possible to connect with a global audience without the immense logistical complexities and expenses of traditional physical book tours. It's an effective, often more targeted way to generate buzz, reach a wider audience, and drive sales for new literary works with unprecedented immediacy and interaction.
Our 29th term is to take over, a verb, to take control of a company or business, particularly by buying more shares.
Acquire, assume control, buy out.
To take over implies a shift in power, a new entity gaining control. What's the key difference between a takeover and an acquisition? They sound very similar.
They're often used interchangeably, especially informally. However, a key difference can lie in the connotation of control and sometimes the willingness of the target company. An acquisition can be a friendly, negotiated purchase where both sides agree. A takeover, especially when used without qualification, can sometimes imply a more assertive, potentially unsolicited assumption of control. Think hostile takeover. It's a fundamental corporate action that reshapes ownership and strategic direction, often representing a significant change in a company's leadership, vision, and operational strategy. The power dynamic might feel different.
That's a good distinction. Let's look at the financial impact.
Sure.
Shareholders celebrated as the company successfully took over a key player in the market, boosting stock prices, shows the financial impact and investor sentiment. Why would shareholders react so positively to a takeover? Doesn't it cost a lot of money?
It does cost money, but this highlights the significant impact takeovers can have on perceived market value. When a company successfully gains control of a competitor or a strategically important firm, investors often anticipate benefits. Increased market share, reduced competition leading to better pricing power, enhanced profitability through cost synergies, access to new technology or markets. This positive outlook on future earnings often translates into a surge in the acquiring company's stock price, benefiting its existing shareholders who see their investment potentially growing as the company's future prospects appear to improve.
And a very different context.
Yeah.
She took over the family business after her father's retirement. A very different context, succession in a private enterprise.
Yeah.
What are the unique challenges and opportunities in a family business handover like this? It's not just business.
Exactly. It's deeply personal, too. This illustrates succession planning in private enterprises. This scenario depicts that transfer of leadership within a family-owned business. Unique challenges often include managing complex family dynamics and expectations.
Oh, yeah.
Proving capabilities to long-serving, non-family employees, navigating the emotional aspects of the transition for both generations. However, the opportunities are also unique. Maintaining a strong family legacy and values, leveraging deep institutional knowledge passed down, and fostering long-term loyalty from employees and customers who appreciate the continuity and personal touch.
And a more aggressive side of corporate strategy. Hostile takeovers can lead to significant management changes. He introduces the aggressive side. How does a hostile takeover typically proceed? And what are its usual consequences for the target company's management?
This demonstrates that aggressive side. A hostile takeover occurs when one company attempts to acquire another against the wishes of the target company's management or board of directors.
Yeah.
Such actions typically involve bypassing management and directly appealing to the target's shareholders, maybe through a tender offer to buy their shares at a premium, or initiating a proxy fight to replace the existing board with directors favorable to the takeover. If successful, the consequences often lead to drastic changes. The existing top management is usually replaced, operational strategies are overhauled, assets might be sold off, and company culture can change dramatically as the new owners implement their vision and integrate the acquired entity, often leading to significant employee upheaval.
Our 30th term is patent, a noun, a formal document giving exclusive rights to make, use, or sell an invention for a limited time.
Invention right, exclusive license. Copyright is similar, but for creative works.
Right. Patent, it's all about protecting innovation and intellectual property, IP. What's the fundamental purpose behind granting an inventor a temporary monopoly through a patent? Why not let everyone use a good invention immediately?
The fundamental purpose is actually to incentivize innovation in the first place. A patent is a powerful legal instrument. It encourages creators by granting them that temporary monopoly over their inventions.
Okay.
This exclusivity allows inventors, or the companies they work for, a period to commercialize their ideas without immediate replication by competitors. This fosters further research and development because it ensures that the often substantial investment of time, money, and resources into invention has a period where it can potentially be recouped and rewarded. Without that protection, many might not bother investing in R&D.
That incentive is crucial. Let's look at the consequences of infringement. Disputes over patent infringements often lead to lengthy legal battles between competing businesses. Shows the high stakes involved in protecting IP. Why are these legal battles often so lengthy and incredibly costly?
This highlights the frequent and often extremely costly conflicts over intellectual property rights. When one company believes another has used its patented invention without permission, infringement, it can result in protracted and very expensive litigation.
Why so expensive?
These battles are lengthy and costly due to the highly technical nature of the evidence required. Expert witnesses, complex analysis, the legal complexity of establishing infringement and calculating damages, and often the extremely high value of the intellectual property at stake, especially in fields like tech or pharma. These disputes underscore the critical importance of strong patent protection and the fiercely competitive nature of innovation as companies vigorously defend their market advantage.
So safeguarding originality is key. Securing a patent protected the inventor's innovative design. The core benefit. What precisely does a patent protect? And maybe more importantly, what does it not protect? Can you patent an idea?
This explains that fundamental protection. By obtaining a patent, an inventor gains exclusive legal rights to their unique functional design or invention. This typically covers processes, machines, articles of manufacture, or compositions of matter. It prevents others from manufacturing, using, selling, or importing that specific invention for a set period. Crucially, it does not protect abstract ideas themselves, only their concrete application or embodiment. You can't patent the idea of flying, but you can patent a specific machine that enables flight. It also doesn't protect artistic or literary works that falls under copyright law.
And an industry-specific application. Pharmaceutical patents allow companies to recoup R&D costs. Illustrates an industry where patents are particularly vital, recognizing massive investment. Why are patents so critical for the pharmaceutical industry compared to others?
This refers to industry-specific monopolies that are absolutely crucial for sectors with incredibly high, long, and risky development costs. In the pharmaceutical industry, the process of discovering, developing, testing, and getting regulatory approval for a new drug can take over a decade and cost billions of dollars.
Billions?
Wow. Yes, with a very high failure rate along the way. Patents grant companies exclusive rights to sell the resulting drug for a period, often effectively shortened by the long development time. This exclusivity is often the only way they can financially justify the massive initial outlay and risk, allowing them to recoup their substantial R&D investments before cheaper generic versions can enter the market. Without patents, much less new drug development would likely occur.
Our 31st term is shipping. A noun. The act of transporting goods, particularly, though not exclusively, by sea.
Freight, delivery, logistics.
Shipping, it's the absolute lifeline of global commerce, moving goods around the world.
Beyond simply moving boxes, what is the strategic importance of shipping in today's globalized economy?
Beyond just moving goods, the strategic importance of shipping is immense. It encompasses the complex, interconnected processes of moving goods, with significant implications for global supply chains, economic efficiency, and even geopolitical stability.
It's the engine that powers international trade, makes global sourcing and consumption possible, and directly impacts everything from the price of consumer goods to the resilience of national supply networks. Without efficient, reliable shipping, globalization as we know it would simply grind to a halt. It underpins almost everything.
That truly highlights its foundational role. Let's look at efficiency. Efficient shipping logistics are crucial for global businesses to ensure timely delivery of products to customers. Emphasizes the necessity for smooth operations. What are the biggest challenges to maintaining efficient shipping logistics today? Seems more complex than ever.
It is more complex. This highlights the paramount importance of the supply chain. In a globalized economy, the ability to move products from manufacturer to consumer quickly and cost-effectively is a major competitive differentiator. The biggest challenges today include recurring geopolitical disruptions, wars, trade disputes, labor shortages, truck drivers, port workers, infrastructure bottlenecks, congested ports, outdated rail, volatile and rising fuel costs, and the ever-increasing demand for greater speed and real-time visibility from customers. Efficient shipping logistics minimize delays, reduce costs, enhance customer satisfaction, underpinning the success of international commerce and protecting brand reputation.
And external economic factors. International shipping rates fluctuated due to fuel prices. Shows how external factors directly impact transport costs. How significant is the impact of fuel prices on the overall cost of international shipping? Is it a major driver?
It's a huge driver. This illustrates those economic influences. Fuel, or bunker fuel for ships, is typically one of the largest variable operating costs for shipping companies, especially for maritime and air freight. Therefore, volatility in global oil prices directly translates into significant fluctuations in freight rates. These cost changes can substantially impact the profitability of businesses reliant on international trade, and inevitably, these higher costs are often passed along the supply chain, influencing the final prices consumers pay for a vast range of imported goods.
And customer expectations in the digital age. E-commerce relies on fast shipping to satisfy buyers. Underscores customer service and expectation in online retail. How have customer expectations for shipping evolved with the rise of e-commerce? It feels like we expect things instantly now.
We almost do. This demonstrates the critical role of logistics as a part of customer service in online retail. In the hyper-competitive e-commerce landscape, rapid, reliable, and often free delivery has shifted from being a nice-to-have to a core expectation for many buyers. Customer expectations have evolved dramatically to demand same-day or next-day shipping, precise real-time tracking from dispatch to doorstep, and easy, seamless returns processes. Companies that can consistently offer faster, more reliable shipping options often gain a significant competitive advantage, as timely fulfillment directly contributes to customer satisfaction, repeat business, and building that crucial brand loyalty in a crowded marketplace.
Our 30-second term is warehouse, a noun. A large place where raw materials or produced goods are stored before sale or distribution.
Storage facility, depot, stockroom.
The warehouse, often unseen, huge buildings by the highway, but essential for the flow of goods. What is a hidden cost associated with inefficient warehouse management that many businesses might overlook?
A significant hidden cost often overlooked is the opportunity cost of inefficient space utilization and poor inventory management. While an integral part of logistics and supply chain efficiency, a warehouse is that central hub. If space isn't optimized, it means paying rent or capital costs for unused or poorly used square footage. But more subtly, poor layout or tracking wastes time searching for items, leading to slower order fulfillment, potential errors, and possibly lost sales if you can't find stock you thought you had. It acts as that crucial buffer between production and consumption, balancing supply and demand, and its efficiency directly impacts profitability in ways that aren't always obvious on the surface.
That's a great point. Let's look at security. Security measures in the warehouse include surveillance cameras and restricted access to protect valuable merchandise. Emphasizes protecting assets. What are the biggest threats to warehouse security these days?
This underscores the importance of asset protection. Warehouses often hold millions, even billions of dollars worth of raw materials and finished goods, making them attractive targets. The biggest threats include external theft, break-ins, internal theft or pilferage by employees, damage due to accidents or poor handling, and even cyber threats targeting warehouse management systems. Implementing robust security protocols, surveillance, access controls, alarms, background checks for staff, secure IT systems is crucial for safeguarding valuable merchandise, preventing financial losses, and ensuring business continuity.
And smart planning. The warehouse manager optimizes space for seasonal inventory. This is about operational efficiency and planning ahead. How does a warehouse manager typically go about optimizing space for those big seasonal fluctuations, like before Christmas?
This highlights operational efficiency in storage management. A skilled warehouse manager analyzes historical sales data and forecasts inventory trends, particularly those big seasonal fluctuations. To maximize space use, they might implement strategies like using higher racking, narrowing aisles if the equipment allows, reconfiguring layouts to place high-demand seasonal items closer to shipping docks, utilizing overflow storage temporarily, or employing sophisticated warehouse management software, WMS, to dynamically allocate space. This meticulous planning ensures products are accessible when needed during peak season while minimizing wasted space and associated costs during quieter periods. It's a dynamic balancing act.
Here's where it gets really interesting with technology. Automated warehouses use robots for faster order fulfillment. Tech completely transforming storage and distribution. What's the future of warehousing look like with these kinds of advancements? Are people involved at all?
This highlights those technological advancements rapidly transforming logistics. Automated warehouses leverage robotics like AGVs or AMRs, conveyor systems, and advanced software to streamline processes like picking, packing, sorting, and storing with significantly less human intervention. This leads to dramatically faster order fulfillment speeds, reduced labor costs, improved accuracy, and the ability to operate 204/7. The future. Likely even greater integration of AI for predictive stocking and routing, machine learning to optimize workflows continuously, drones for inventory checks, perhaps even moving towards largely lights-out facilities that are almost fully autonomous. People will likely shift to roles managing the technology, maintenance, and handling exceptions, rather than the repetitive manual tasks. It's a major shift towards smart logistics.
Our 33rd term is operational, an adjective related to how a business, organization, or machine functions.
Functional, working, practical.
Operational. It's about how things actually work day to day, the practical side of any enterprise. What's the difference between strategic decisions and operational decisions in a business context?
That's a key distinction in management. Strategic decisions are typically long-term, high-level choices about the what and why, what markets to be in, what overall goals to pursue, what business model to adopt. Operational decisions, on the other hand, focus on how the practical day-to-day functioning and the efficiency of processes needed to achieve those strategic goals. It deals with the nuts and bolts, scheduling work, managing inventory levels, handling customer service issues, ensuring machines are running properly. It's about the smooth and effective execution of the broader strategy on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
That distinction is crucial. Let's look at technology's impact. The new software system provides real-time data to enhance operational decision-making processes. Shows how tech directly improves daily functioning. How does real-time data specifically empower managers to make better operational decisions on the fly?
This illustrates how technological integration can really enhance efficiency. Real-time data from ERP systems, sensors, or CRM software gives managers immediate insights into current performance production output, inventory levels, sales figures, customer activity, machine status. This immediate feedback enables more agile and informed operational decisions. Managers can spot bottlenecks instantly, optimize resource allocation dynamically, shift staff, reroute deliveries, and respond rapidly to changing conditions or unexpected issues, preventing small problems from escalating into major disruptions. It allows for proactive rather than reactive management.
And external challenges. Operational costs rose due to supply chain disruptions. Links operational functioning to external challenges and expense management. What kind of supply chain disruptions typically lead to increased operational costs for a business?
This explains those expense management challenges linked directly to external factors. Operational costs are the expenses incurred in the normal running of the business. Labor, materials, energy, transport. When supply chains are disrupted perhaps by geopolitical events like wars or sanctions, natural disasters, labor strikes, port congestion, or even just a sudden surge in demand that suppliers can't meet, it can lead to higher procurement costs, having to buy from more expensive alternative suppliers, increased logistics expenses, air freight instead of sea, production delays due to missing parts or overtime costs. All of these inflate the cost of doing business and impact profitability, requiring managers to adapt quickly, find workarounds, and manage expenses tightly.
And a crucial application where failure isn't an option. Maintaining operational readiness is key in emergency services. A critical application where readiness is literally a matter of life and death. What does operational readiness entail for emergency services, and why is it so absolutely paramount?
This demonstrates the paramount importance of preparedness in critical sectors like police, fire, ambulance services, or the military. In these contexts, operational readiness means ensuring that all personnel are trained and available, all equipment, vehicles, communication systems, medical supplies is fully functional and properly maintained, and all systems and procedures are in place to respond effectively and immediately to crises.
Okay.
It entails rigorous regular training, drills, meticulous equipment checks, robust contingency planning for various scenarios, and in smart resource allocation. It's about maintaining a constant state of preparedness to minimize response times and maximize effectiveness in critical situations, directly impacting public safety and saving lives, where seconds can make all the difference.
Finally, our 34th and last term for this deep dive, public relations. A noun, the process of presenting a favorable public image of a person, firm, or institution.
PR, image management, media relations.
Public relations. It's about managing perception, shaping how the world sees you or your organization. What's the biggest misconception people generally have about public relations? Is it just spin?
That's probably the biggest misconception, that PR is just spin, propaganda, or simply trying to get good press coverage, often deceptively. While media relations is part of it, true public relations is much broader and more strategic.
How so?
It's the strategic communication function dedicated to building and maintaining a positive reputation and fostering mutual understanding and positive relationships between an organization and its various publics, customers, employees, investors, communities, government over the long term. It's about crafting and conveying authentic messages, listening to stakeholders, and managing reputation proactively, which is far more nuanced and ethical than mere superficial promotion or spin.
That distinction is important. Let's look at its vital role in crisis management. Effective public relations strategies help the company recover from the scandal, shows its crucial role when things go wrong. What are the immediate goals of a PR team in the immediate aftermath of a corporate scandal?
This highlights that crucial role of communication in crisis management. When a company faces a scandal, a product recall, an ethical lapse, an environmental issue, strategic PR efforts are immediately deployed with several key goals.
Okay.
First, to take control of the narrative before misinformation spreads. Second, to restore trust by being transparent and accountable. Third, to address public and media concerns honestly. Fourth, to proactively communicate corrective actions being taken. This carefully crafted, timely messaging is essential for rebuilding credibility, mitigating long-term damage to the brand's image, demonstrating accountability, and outlining a clear path forward for the organization and its stakeholders.
And a classic promotional activity. The PR team handled press releases for the product launch, a standard promotional activity, getting the news out. What makes a press release effective in actually garnering media attention these days, when journalists are inundated?
That's the challenge. This illustrates standard promotional activities. An effective press release today is not just a dry announcement. It needs to be a compelling story.
A story.
Yes, highlighting the product's unique value proposition, its benefits to the target audience, any genuinely innovative features, maybe a human interest angle. A skilled PR team crafts engaging headlines, provides relevant data or statistics, includes quotable comments from executives or experts, perhaps visuals. They distribute these releases strategically to relevant media outlets and journalists, following up personally, managing inquiries to ensure a product launch receives positive, accurate, and widespread attention, generating that initial buzz and consumer interest. It has to be newsworthy.
And for long-term impact, building strong public relations fosters community trust. This is about long-term relationship building, not just short-term announcements. Why is community trust so essential for a company's long-term success and stability?
This refers to that vital long-term goal of reputation building and community engagement. Beyond specific campaigns or product launches, continuous and genuine public relations efforts aim to cultivate positive, ongoing relationships with various stakeholders, including the local communities where a company operates, its employees, and government bodies.
Right.
This fosters mutual understanding, builds trust over time, and can lead to sustained support, employee loyalty, easier recruitment, smoother regulatory processes, and a stronger social license to operate for the organization. These are invaluable, intangible assets for long-term success, resilience, and navigating challenges when they arise.
So what does this all mean for you listening in? We've just navigated through, well, a pretty extensive list of C1 level vocabulary in business and management. We covered everything from the fundamental structures of companies,
like LTD and Incorporated.
Exactly. To intricate financial operations, audits, deficits, margins, and critical strategic actions like mergers and takeovers. We've seen how a word like acquisition can describe both the government buying land and a tech giant's strategic growth.
And how turnover can mean total sales or how fast employees are leaving. Context is key.
Absolutely. And how operational defines the very practical day-to-day heart of a business. This deep dive wasn't just about memorizing definitions, was it?
No, definitely not.
It was about appreciating the nuanced power of each term, understanding its real-world context, and recognizing how these words become sophisticated tools. Tools for more effective communication and sharper strategic thinking. You're now, hopefully, better equipped to engage with complex business discussions, articles, documents, moving beyond just general understanding to genuine insight.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, mastering this vocabulary isn't really a passive achievement, something you just get. It's an active, ongoing process of deepening your understanding of how the business world actually works and talks about itself.
Right.
Which raises an important question for you, the listener. How will you actively integrate these precise terms into your daily professional landscape? Maybe start listening for them specifically in news reports or podcasts, identifying them when you read business articles, or even consciously trying to incorporate one or two into your own conversations or emails where appropriate. The true value really comes from application transforming that knowledge into actionable insight, clearer communication, and ultimately a more commanding presence in the business world. It allows you to articulate complexity with real precision.
Well said. We really hope this deep dive has given you a significant boost in your business vocabulary and your overall understanding. If you found this insightful, and we hope you did, we'd love for you to like this video, share it with anyone else who might benefit, and definitely subscribe to this YouTube channel, Learn English Lab, to keep these deep dives coming your way.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.